One shot. Let's begin. To You Who Were Buried by Sissio. Translated, uploaded by Use Cancellations and Predator Duck. This is a one shot romance zombies girl of school life tragedy. And let's see how it goes. Let's begin, everybody. Please kill me so that I don't forget you. Presented by Sissio. The Fantasy Yuri Genius by Kato Kami. Debut. Alright. Aw, little, are those hard eyes? Maybe. To You Who Were Buried. Right now, I'm in the middle of something important. Police in the Shindo district are investigating a case of corpse concealment. They're asking all citizens for their cooperation. The suspect possesses the following characteristics. This girl that I killed was my best friend. 1,000 years ago from now, the moon suddenly started moving towards the Earth at a terrifying speed. Due to its magnetic field, most of humanity lost their ability to reproduce. In order to preserve society, they began forcefully resurrecting the dead, turning them into living corpses that don't age or decay. In 10 or so years, the moon will collide into us, and the Earth will meet its end. Kitty-chan, please, go out with me. Huh? What's this all of a sudden? I'm not joking around, Kitty-chan. Whether it's a joke or not isn't the problem. You understand that, don't you, Nakuru? In just 10 years or so, the moon will hit us. Finding love now is pointless. We're all gonna die either way. But even if we die, love won't end, right? You're still saying that? I don't get it. The following year, Nakuro died. It wasn't the end that I was talking about that killed her. It was an accidental death from getting hit by a falling billboard. Nobody gave a silent prayer for Nakuro at her funeral. They were going to bring her back to life after all. Oops. But it was still a funeral. I remember feeling kinda uncomfortable. After she was. Oh, Kitty-chan! After she was resurrected, our lives went back to normal, and my worries gradually disappeared. Even if she's dead, Nakuro is still Nakuro. At least, that's what I thought. But her habit of snoring vanished. She's perfectly still. She really is dead. You okay? Did you fall over? My body stopped moving for some reason. Let's get you checked up tomorrow. Her movements became dull, and she gradually started forgetting things about herself. Did you change her hairstyle? Wasn't it always like this? She was becoming less and less like the Nakuro I knew. It seems to be a side effect of resurrection. Even if it looks like she's back to life, these small differences remind me that Nakuro is dead. A person is dead. But nobody gives it a second thought. I finally realized what that uncomfortable feeling I felt was. Humanity had lost its faith in life and death. Life was no longer precious. Death was no longer feared. That was more eerie than anything else. It seemed Nakuro noticed she was changing too. One day, she said this. Kitty-chan, please, kill me again. Huh? I can't do that. Humans don't stay dead even if they die these days. What brings this up? Lately, it feels like I'm this close to forgetting about you. Kitty-chan? Hmm? By the way, Hanazuka-san. Huh? About that confession you always went on about. How did it go? Ah, that. Huh. I got rejected. It's fine. This is Kitty-chan, after all. Oh? Sorry. She probably wouldn't date someone anyway. I'm fine with that. We don't need to date. I see. Sato-san certainly is cool like that. No, that's not exactly true. We've been together since we were kids, so I know that Kitty-chan is a kind girl. Kitty-chan loves raising flowers. She always treats them with love and care. I always thought of flowers as things that inevitably wilt someday. But it's beautiful because things die eventually, that we need to take good care of them. Don't you think? Oh, it's because beautiful things die eventually that we need to take good care of them. Don't you think? Is what she told me. So that happened too, huh? I'm sure I've loved that side of her ever since long ago. Since long ago. Since when? I don't want to forget that I loved you, Kitty-chan. That's not all. I'm sure you noticed it too, Kitty-chan. I don't want to die or live as someone who isn't me. A living corpse can't die a second time, but if enough damage is dealt to it, it'll fall into a deep slumber. In other words, if there's not enough parts to repair it, it's pretty much the same as dying. Of course, going into slumber without permission is against the law. You really put me through a horrible ordeal. Running away from the cops is exhausting. Must be nice getting to lay in there without having to think about anything. As long as I remain human, I'll never be able to forget this curse of a memory. Hey, why are humans so obsessed with bringing back their dead friends? Maybe they want all of humanity to see the end with their own eyes. Even if we die, love will never end. That's what I believe. Even if I die, I'll always love you, Kitty-chan. Don't say such stupid things. It must be cold underground, right? I'll go out with you once all of this is over. So, you'll have to settle with this for now. So, Kitty-chan, even if I'm no longer around, please, love me forever too. Okay? I'm sorry. I couldn't keep my promise. No matter how much time passes, you're still as young and beautiful as ever. Living corpses are treated for preservation. Once the moon hits the earth, everything will be disintegrated. 100 years. 1,000 years. You'll become one with this planet. As will I. I'm sorry. I couldn't stay brave until the end. I couldn't greet the end. But I was able to let you die. I don't think anyone will find us again. So, you can relax. Fleeing across the world was really exhausting. You know, I've always wanted to say this, but seeing the moon up this close feels kind of romantic, don't you think? Back when I was a student, I couldn't understand what drove man to want to walk on the moon, but now I think I kinda get it. night, Nekuro. That was a lovely story. Even if we die, love will never end. That's quite lovely. That's a very, very lovely story. Alright, alright. Oh, I never turned on my the little face lamp. That's okay. Wow, look at that. A little bit of a different view of me. Whew. Shiny forehead. Um, yeah, I love this story. I think it's a really, really fun one. I think it's a really good one. I like the art. It's very, very soft, but also like a little jagged, which is kind of like a hard. It's kind of like a hard thing to kind of mix together, right? Like you could kind of feel like the backgrounds don't really matter in this story, right? Like you could see that everything feels a little bit like a sketch, right? Like these roses aren't exactly clean. And again, I say this all because maybe the scannulation quality just wasn't there, and like maybe it was beautiful and pristine and perfect. But you could kind of see like a little bit of the roughness here. Like this one here feels a little bit softer, like the see-through nature here. It doesn't feel like it's as hard or as harsh here, right? Like even looking at like again, let's go back with your shoes, right? It feels like they're just and I kind of like the sketchbook quality here, right? Look, the backgrounds don't really matter. I will say this dog is unusually detailed for this comic. Maybe they just wanted to have fun with the dog, right? They're like, okay, we got to make our little mechanical dogs, which were a thing in the like early 2000s, late 90s, I think. Um, and then, but you could kind of see that like around them, like, and if we go through these panels here, right? Like I can go and you see that, the flower. Oh wow, that's another unusual. This is simple, but also not, right? Like I don't think that the backgrounds are there too much, but I think it's very done deliberately, right? Like everything is like a rough sketch and this, that, or the other, you know? Um, and I kind of like that. Like, look at this. This is such a sketchbook scene, but not in a bad way. It's so wonderful, right? And I kind of like that. Boom. Please love me forever too. I'm sorry I couldn't keep my promise. So I guess near the end she like tried to kill herself a little bit, um, or she hurt herself, or she was dying, or whatever. And then the moon started coming to, and it was gonna hit the Earth, right? I wonder too if like the time zone played a spot, like how you hit that part of the Earth, so you're more likely to die, right? Um, yeah, but I guess she got hurt at some point. Like I don't think she like stabbed or cut herself, right here at all here, right? And so boom, still as young, beautiful ever. So she could keep her promise because she got hurt at some point, which is it's a thing. Um, and yeah, so the sketchbook nature, I kind of appreciate that. There's no excessive detail. The focus is really them, and it kind of has that shojo style of like softness as well, where like you could see that they have. It's not like the glowy little flower things here. It's its own unique type of style here. Like, I feels like I don't know if it's just like the lighting or how they're doing things here, but it does kind of have that shonen type of softness to it as well. And I think it's really cool to do all. Maybe it's all the flowers. I don't know. Like they don't have too much of that. But first, I just love the styling. I will say that I think it's really unique, and I think it fits the story perfectly because ultimately, every part of this background doesn't necessarily matter too much, right? The theme is that love will continue even after somebody dies, right? And so they die, and you know that type of softness that comes, where I love the sign, but it was still a funeral, right? Nobody gave a silent prayer for Nakuro at a funeral. They're going to bring her back to life after all. And then you could see like the distraught nature of her eyes. Says nobody cares. They're like she's gonna come back, though a little stitched up. She will come back, right? Like of course it's only natural for her to feel that way. And then there's this little bit of joy. Nakuro still Nakuro, right? But then the small things you start noticing about somebody disappear, and I think that that's like a really big portion of like love, right? Is like the small things like start to make you happy. Like, oh, you have this habit or that habit.
Playing from Pixel 9.
Oh my gosh, sorry, that's my Alexa. I got a Pixel, and so the Alexa sometimes does stuff like that. Um, yeah, so there's like the nice things you like love about somebody, and it's just like, oh, this little habit of this, that, or the other. Or I've had like people where it's like I take a picture of them, and I'm that guy who's like, oh, I take a million pictures, and then like you have the silly photos of them, and then you have the like one that's just so beautiful. You're like, wow, really? We chose each other, right? And it's just that little bit of like awkward stuff here that you enjoy with the love, and then it's like, oh, you're slowly seeing them become a different person, right? And it's also like kind of a thing too, where I will say, you break up with somebody, and then like all of a sudden, like you get back whenever X amount of time passes. Like, okay, certain things are starting to change a little bit, right? Um, yeah, you could see they're no longer who you were. Um, and this is just kind of this is probably the most romantic please kill me again. The only thing is that if you're a sinister person, it says again, Kitty Chan, please kill me again. Like, you're like, oh wait, did Kitty Chan kill her the first time? I think that if you really wanted to be super sinister with that, you could do it like that, right? You could be like, oh, um, okay, I guess Kitty Chan ran her over. You owed me a sprite. Just like that. But obviously she didn't kill her again, right? And I also think this is this like I got rejected thing, it hurts. It hurts. But I do like, and I could never really be friends with people that like I've had long term this or the other, but this person still loves them. With they're happy with flowers, treating them with care, and I think that's a beautiful way to look at things. It's only beautiful because it is temporary, right? Because if it was there forever, we wouldn't appreciate it. We take for granted that we have the sun, we have the water, we have the air, we have the greenery, we have all these wonderful things that we think are just there. But then you only start to appreciate, you know, your health when it's gone. I think that's a good way to put it. Like when I hurt like my lower back years ago from like skateboarding, or longboarding. I'm not the cool skateboarder. I'm the longboarder. It's like, ah, man, I didn't realize how lucky I was to be able to just walk fine without issue, right? Like I can walk fine now, but like for that like week or two or three or whatever, it's like, ah, fuck, I'm using a cane. Damn, that hurts. All of that hurts. So, yeah, yeah. That's you only appreciate things when they're gone, unfortunately, or like when it's not there. Like, and I think that's always a good moment of reflection is that I love my family, I love my friends, I love my life. It's great. And when these things slowly disappear, because inevitably they will disappear, right? That's just time. I'll grow to appreciate them even more. And again, this is haunting, right? Since long ago, like you start to forget people, and like I'm not, and I can relate a smidgen to this here, just because like not remembering a certain name or a certain face occasionally comes to me. Like since I'm a teacher, I've taught like hundreds of thousands of students at this point, right? And it's like I try to remember certain names and certain faces, mainly names, and I just forget. I just forget. And it's like, oh, how could I? How could I forget that? They become this blurry, like, not like with this, there's no special effects in my brain where it's the little VCR effect or the little blur effect. It's like, oh, I forgot this student's name. I forgot this student's name. I remember their actions. And I remember how they felt, right? Like, that'll cool. You don't remember what they said, but you remember how they made you felt. It's like, yeah. Yeah, you're right. You're right. um, but yeah, I could kind of relate to that. And I will say, I've never killed any one of my students. I don't want this to be misconstrued like that. But yeah, living corpse can't die a second time. It also has an interesting background verse where you look at the implications of people not being able to die, resurrecting them, and the fact that humanity had to adapt such that because magnets made it so you were incontinent or couldn't have kids, um, like that's also a terrifying power. like Like, imagine if a Eustace kid at One Piece. His like major attack is like, ah, you can't have kids now. Sorry, Luffy. Sorry, Zoro. Sorry, Kaido. Let's see, Yamato will never have a sibling. He would really piss off Big Mom, you know, at a certain point. Like, yeah, it wouldn't do anything in battle, but you know, if he was just wanted to mess with people, like, I know in the One Piece verse you can like hockey your way out of certain situations. I don't know if you could hockey that if you didn't realize it happened. But then again, I'm sure law could make you incompetent or incontinent or not have kids as well. Like, I don't know. Let's not. Those are the old. No, we're not gonna get into like the weird stuff you could use One Piece powers for. But their love is also amazing. I love this story. Their love is just to go to the end of the world and be like, hey, I want to spend this time with you is lovely, simply lovely. And I'm gonna now see. Sorry, this scene does kind of stick with me a little bit here. Walkett carrying her friend, going here as the moon grows bigger, it gets closer to them. Because remember, this isn't an aesthetic moon where like, oh, the moon's in the background. It's like the moon is that close, and the moon is gonna kill them all, right? And that's what's the thing, right? This moon is here. All these things displaced, the waves that come with it too. It's like, yeah, Japan would especially be hit hard, right? Hmm. And then the good night. Let me see if Sissy. I feel like I've read this name before. I guess I have it. I guess I have it. That's everything. Thank you for watching, everybody. You're wonderful. You're valued, and you don't need to. You don't need to die me Bravek's life for us to realize that. Like, comment, subscribe, and thank you for being born, y'all. Peace out.